Welcome back to the Cheapy Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show. And I've got a special guest today. It's Mr. Mark Holton, a man that you will know from the TV screens throughout the last, since the 80s, really, isn't it, Mark?
Well, I would say over four decades.
4 decades.
About 83, yeah.
And how did it all begin? How did you decide that you wanted to be an actor?
Oh, Lord. I was a freshman in high school and about to fail English. And my English teacher said, well, you can get extra credit if you enter an intramural oral oratory contest. And I will give you some extra credit. And I did. And I didn't expect to do it, but I won. And then they called it speech here instead of theater. And they went on tournaments or whatever. And I got involved doing that, which led to a little scholarship. And it was just kind of fell in place. And I fell in love with it and did as many shows and events as I could. And finally got to the point to where I had to make a decision whether or not I would go to New York or LA. I had been to New York and I knew that psychologically it didn't fit me being from a small town. So I went to LA where I would rub bumpers instead of elbows. And but I had never been there before. So there was a lot of divine intervention in my life. So there's no other explanation for it.
And in terms of obviously then you started off in kind of theater then, was it?
Yeah. I had a theater background, theater scholarship in college, and did that, and did dinner theater, non-union dinner theater out of college, and also some outdoor drama in amphitheaters, and even tried a little bit of radio, which killed my soul, and I couldn't do that very long. So I said, well, I'm going to have to either do this or go back and get a teaching degree. And so I gave it a shot. It all worked out.
Yeah. And what's the pressure like, or did you feel any pressure of, say, performing in front of a live audience as opposed to doing like TV and movies? Just if you bring yourself back to then, were you nervous going into something like that?
Oh yeah, especially when you're starting out. I just from my high school training, I became confident right off the bat, and knew how to read the audience and play them for comedy. And when less was more and more was less, and all those things. So I hate to make this sound like that I'm bragging or whatever, but I just seem to be naturally disposed to playing other people, on stage.
Yeah, so you kind of just really fell into this world then. It wasn't really part of the script, no pun intended.
No, it wasn't. I just, it just, step one, point A to point B to point C to point D, all along the way. And it continues to be that way.
Yeah. The first big movie, I suppose, like that a lot of people would remember you from then is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. How did that come about?
Um, I had done a few television shows. I got my union cards, and I, um, I thought I was going to an audition at Warner Brothers for like a casting director. Usually, you go in front of a casting director. Sometimes they put you on tape. Sometimes they read with you and give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down before they advance you. But I walked into this room and it was for everybody. I had bypassed everybody. I don't know how that happened. I think they had seen me in something that got their interest. I suppose I'll never
Yeah.
really know. But I walked in and there was, just pretty much everybody, all the writers, the producers, the director, and Paul Rubens. And I had seen Paul Rubens on late night television once or twice, and really didn't. I thought, well, this Pee Wee character is just insane. He's insanely funny, and this is very original. But that was the extent of my knowledge of the Pee Wee character and Paul Rubens, and we actually auditioned with the scene. I know you are, but what am I? That all the children still, the big and the old children my age, still know all the words or the script, whatever. And it seemed like it went fine. And by the time I got home, pretty much a deal had already been made. I went, what? How can this be? So, well, another example, divine intervention, right there.
Yeah. And that movie like has still stood the test of time as well, in my opinion, isn't it? It's still one that you can just throw on anytime and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, and I had my eldest son said, you know what? He said, you're very fortunate because when you look at what are considered the top comedies from
Hmm.
that time period, the two that always stick out to me and to my friends is Pee Wee's Big Adventure and The Naked Gun. And I said, well, yeah, I would have to thoroughly agree that they're both, they're not dated. You don't
Yeah.
have people talking on 15-foot long cord phone lines, and there's nothing to tip you off really, unless you really looked for it.
Yeah.
That it was a dated film.
Yeah. Are you one of these people that likes to watch your movies, or do you not like to watch your movies?
Oh, I was my own worst critic for a long time. I hated my performances, most of them. I watched them probably at a screening, uh, and I would have friends say, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you home this weekend?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to be here for a couple of days." Well, why do you want to come over to the house? Sure. We're going to have some beers. I'm going to have some friends over. Oh, and by the way, they're going to have a screening of Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I said, no, I'm not coming. No. If you shot, and if I get there, I will just finish my beer and leave if you start the movie. And they were, well, what's wrong, man? What's wrong with you?
Mm.
But and I was that way up until the last few years actually, because I'd
Yeah.
actually
I can.
quit the business and pull the plug. Got out of LA, moved back to a small town near Tulsa, Oklahoma. I said, that's it. I've had it with this business. And then I got drugged back in for one more Leprechaun movie. And they
Hmm.
shot it in South Africa. I'm on my way back. And in the Dallas airport, my last leg, I had made it all the way from Cape Town to London to Atlanta to Dallas. and there was a problem with the plane for the
Right.
last 30 minutes, a little bitty flight. And I went, oh shit. So I went over to the club, and I've been in the air for like 40 hours, and I passed this guy. I walked behind him, and I thought to myself, I know this guy's voice, and I caught just a sliver of his face. I said, who is that? I know this guy. And I walked around the barrier and got some tea, and came back around, and it was Paul Rubens. So I approached him, and he didn't recognize me. Of course, I looked like I had just rolled out of a dumpster, right? And
Long flight.
there's a look on his face of alarm, like, oh shit, who is this guy? And the people sitting with him are like, security, security, right on the edge. And I said, Paul, it's Mark Holton. And he said, well, what the hell are you doing here? I said, I don't know. What the hell are you doing here? I just got back from South Africa. And so we'd always, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
But he pretty much trailed off to that. So we rekindled our relationship, and he had been there for a convention. And I said, well, what's this all about? These conventions, comic cons and horror cons. I have no frame of reference. So he gave me, enough of an education just over the phone to where I thought, well, this sounds like it might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your other question, being my own worst critic, it took me quite a bit of soul searching when I found out there were people that had been looking for me, that I was part of their childhood and part of their, their children's childhood, to accept, that love, and allow myself to open up to it. And once I did that, I could look through it. I could look at the work through a new lens and a clearer lens than I had before that time. So,
and it's a good way. Yeah, it's a good way, because I talked to a lot of people in the same boat that maybe didn't know about this convention world. But isn't it a great way to kind of rekindle friendships with people that you may haven't seen for all these years, and then you're all together at a convention and maybe having dinner or a couple of beers or whatever?
Well, that happens to a lot of actors. I've only run into a couple of people that I've worked with previously. But the thing that just melts my heart, Maurice, is when I will have and I'm still learning. I'll have somebody bring up a VHS jacket that's just hammered, raw, threadbare, bare, whatever, and they ask me to sign it. And I said, well, you want me to sign this? I could probably find you a DVD here on the convention floor somewhere that's brand new. They said, no, you don't understand. That is the jacket on the VHS that my brother and I watch every day after school. So when you sign this is going, like on the mantle. I said, okay, I get it. Yeah. So, what do you say? You just hope you don't pop a tear in front of people, So.
Yeah. When you look at, obviously, Leprechaun is a big part of your career then as well, and especially considering entering the convention world with that as well, because of the horror side of things is huge. So when you look back on that, how did you become involved in that project, the original?
I was cast in a television program called Superboy, and it was a ridiculous idea for a script. And the guy that wrote it, he said, you've got to use Mark Holton for this, because this character is so outrageous. You got to at least, call him in.
Yeah.
So they gave me the role, and I went and spent a week filming that. And that was Mark Jones, the writer of that was writing Leprechaun. So he just continued writing my movie role as we were doing the television show. So wow, that was great. And somebody had sent me some of the casting director's notes that somehow survived the years, and it has a list of the characters with names out from them. And I'm the only name out from Ozzie, the character Ozzie, and it has in parentheses Mark's friend. I thought, well, that's a pretty good way to go into an audition right there,
Yeah.
So
That's
another
all.
example of divine intervention, So
Yeah, and being in the right place at the right time. But that's another movie in the horror
which,
community that has stood the test of time as well. Like,
yeah,
as a franchise, everyone looks at the original really, as they do with most movies. It's all about the original, and then obviously it kind of tailed off into mad stuff after a while, the Leprechaun, but then it kind of smoothed itself out then with the latest one.
well, I just, to me, um, the number 2 through 7 that were in space and in the hood and in Las Vegas and blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
None of them had anything to do with the original storyline.
Mhm.
So that's what kind of tempted me back into that franchise, was when they continued the storyline 25 years later.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me. Of course, better than I do. The U.S. has a huge population of Irishmen
Yeah.
in the major cities, and St. Patrick's Day is huge. The parades, and every pub has 2 beers and a cigar to go with it on before midnight. It's just it's wonderful. You get to see all this American history that started in Ireland with the parades, and then you've got the firemen and the policemen, and so it's been really interesting to watch over the years. Of course, your residual payments as an actor go down over time, until some of them are just ridiculously low. But twice a year or once a year with those 2 films, there'll be a little spike. It's always in March, near St. Patrick's Day. So
Yeah.
Aaron go bra.
So it's busy. It's a busier time for Leprechaun in March than it is then in October for Halloween.
Yes, but there's a little bump
Interesting.
there too. So it's I don't know. It's funny. Everything's streaming now, and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that has been kind of dormant. All of a sudden, if it starts streaming, people will. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a million years. So it's almost like back in the day, to where if you wanted to see a film, you saw it in a theater,
Yeah.
or you rented it, or you bought it.
Yeah.
And those were the only 3 flavors and choices that you got. But now with streaming, you can watch it right now. Or you can watch it without interruption, or you can just buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a wonderful thing for old actors that have a long history of things that are being rediscovered.
And what was
Because
it that's? Sorry, you go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, what was it? Was it the script itself then that swayed you back into Leprechaun Returns then after all those years?
Yes, I thoroughly
Yeah.
expected to read a total piece of shit. I didn't know what I was going to read, and I read it, and I found myself chuckling out loud. And I thought, well, you know what? 25, 30 years later, the just the technical marvels that they have now for special effects
Hmm.
um, have they've improved. So who knows? How crazy that could get. How much more realistic. And then the joke was on me when I got there. I got the old school guy with the airbrush, 2.5
Mm.
hours in the chair for that one look. Well,
Wow.
if you haven't seen it, it's Ghost Ozzie, the dead Ozzie, and wow, and the guy it was just like watching somebody paint a fresco or something every day, looking in the mirror, going, my God, that looks like a real vein. Um, but at the end of the day, it was a real bitch too, trying to get out all that stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. If you were handed a script right now, what is the
mhm.
one thing that you would instantly reject on a script? Like, what's the one thing that you do not like to get, whether it be a role or a story?
um,
So,
that's hard. I
mhm.
could say something funny like character rides through the rides through the frame in the background, naked on a Shetland pony. Not gonna happen. It would depend. I would want it to be a flavor of a character, a type of character that I have never had the opportunity to do before.
Yeah, something
Um,
fresh.
yeah, so you can imagine after I did Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I was brought in to do Francis Buxton over and over and over.
Yeah.
And of course, I would get the script and I would interpret it the way it was written. But in their mind, they wanted Francis, and I wouldn't give it to them.
Yeah.
I'd
I
already done
actually
that.
it reminds me I had Jim Crute on the podcast. He played the helicopter zombie in the original Dawn of the Dead, and I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying the same thing. Every time that he went in to do an audition for a horror movie, they wanted to chop his head off because his head was chopped off in Dawn of the Dead, and he was just like, "Nope, not doing it."
But yeah, a lot of those guys that after so long, the prosthetics that you have to apply to your face, like Warwick, and my God, he
Yeah,
went through 7 of those things. And you get down to just one more, and there's some PTSD there after
mm,
that long, and back, depending on when your guest was doing this, a lot of that you had stuff put on with the anybody that's been in theater, whatever, past a certain age will know what spirit gum is, and it's
mm,
it's just it's like alcohol, but it's glue,
yeah,
and it's very it's hard on your lungs and your sinuses and your skin, and if you have to breathe that all day every day, it's on your hands and your face. Um, and any little movement that you make, you can crack it. They're coming back at you with it.
hmm,
So yeah, I can imagine a lot of people just. I think Robert England. That was one thing he said. Well, why didn't you do the last one? Why did you stop doing them? And he said, I just couldn't do that anymore. I had just
yeah,
maxed out. That was enough. So,
yeah. And in terms of the convention world, then you said you were kind of, I suppose, enticed into it. Maybe. What's the funniest thing you've ever had to sign at a convention?
oh, I've had some really weird things. I didn't anticipate getting bicycle parts, like the little gas tank on the side of the bicycle. And I went, oh, are you building a reproduction? Yeah. And I'd like you to sign it just straight up across it's the little fake different bike parts. One thing that threw me was this guy walked up, and I had done a film called A League of Their Own.
Yep.
And he looked like a coach. He was dressed like a coach, at the ball cap, and he walked up and he stuck out this little white box. And little white box, I opened it. And there's a baseball in it, and I still haven't clued in. Right? I was like, what? And I pull it out, and he kind of smiled. He goes, I have a collection, a baseball collection, and I have collected several of the cast members' signatures on baseballs from the film A League of Their Own. So I would like you to sign it. You're going to lose, in quotes, Stillwell Angel, which was my character, and then my name. I thought, well, how cool. I never thought I would see that, but, since that's it is definitely my favorite film that I've ever done, a film role, to have that come across my table, it was really neat.
Unexpected.
And items from different countries, theater lobby displays that I had never seen before, that were really rare. And the amount of time and trouble people had put into the framing and the description plaques and things like that. I was almost afraid to sign them, because they were, my God, what if you messed that up? You would just
It means so much to people, though, and it is great for people to be able to meet actors and personalities like that in person.
Well, there's different kinds of there's fans, and there's collectors, and then there are very serious collectors. And it tends to be the ones that come up and you say, well, would you like me to make this out to Maurice, for Maurice? And they'll say, no, I just want the signature in black Sharpie. Oh, okay. That's what you want. That's what you get. And, it occurred to me that if I was building a collection to sell.
Exactly.
So actor so-and-so dies. Bang, it's on the market right then and there.
There's that side as well, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, that's capitalism. That's okay with me.
Yeah. In terms of yourself then at the moment, are you working on any projects within the industry?
Within the industry, I'm talking with someone that is putting together a comedy television program that has interest in it, and I'm following that. And I've been pretty much taking up a lot of my time. I had an online store, markholton.com, and I killed that. And simultaneously, I stopped doing Cameo because it got to the point where Cameo was making more money out of a video than I was.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Well, you come from a work culture to where the actor gets 90% and the agent gets 10. And I had started out paying them 25%. But when they broke over the 50% point, and I'm looking at what they're charging the customer and what I'm getting, I got to find, a secondhand shirt that I've never worn before, and put the cheap makeup on, the scary old man face, and then set up to do this stuff. And I don't have my own studio, as you can see. It's just, pretty bare bones. So
Yeah.
I thought, there are other things in my life that I can devote my time to. So I just killed that too. And at the same time, the reason I had started the store was it was during COVID, and of course the earth stood still as far as conventions went.
Yeah.
And I had done one convention before the shutdown, and I thought, well, I'll just open a little store and I'll offer autographs from say 5 different films and some some merchandise like um, t-shirts,
Yeah.
mouse pads, stuff like that. Well, I finally got to the point to where I have someone doing private signings, so I don't have to mess with anything that I have to autograph physically. That's taken care of. And then right as I decided to get out of the store altogether, I had somebody contact me. They could make t-shirts much better, much faster and much cheaper for people that wanted them. And it ended up this company just blew my mind. I thought, wow, where did you find these people? I sure as hell never found them. I was having to charge twice that amount of money.
Yep.
And they even had offer international shipping to over 32 countries and give you door-to-door tracking. And I thought, well, I've got to do this. So that's where my energy's gone here lately. And of course,
where
4 decades. Go ahead.
Where can people find that stuff then, if they want to purchase anything?
They can find it at Everybody Loves Tees, TEES. They're on Instagram, Facebook, and they're on platforms like Etsy. And we're literally still filling out the items.
Okay.
And the amount of characters, starting out with like 2 or 3 of each character and expanding it and then adding other characters. So it's not all out there yet, but enough of it is out there where you can find a pretty decent selection.
Yeah,
I'll track for Christmas.
Yeah, I'll track it down, and what I'll do is I'll pop it underneath the video description on this as well, so people can check it out if they want. And if they want to follow you on social media, where do they go?
At official Mark Holton on Instagram, and Facebook is just Mark Holton on Facebook, as far as I know. It's one of those things to where I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. Little switch when I open the Instagram, anything I post on there, like if I want to post the show once you're ready, and then it just automatically goes to Facebook. But I limit it to those 2.
Yeah, that was a pleasure to catch up with you today, Mark, and thanks a million for your time. I hope it wasn't too painful for you.
No, not at all, man. You're a wonderful host. I really enjoyed your time. Thank you.
Hopefully, I get to see you in Ireland soon.
That would be killer.
Pints of Guinness, man.
Yes. Yep, that's first order.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.